Welcome to this special program of School Matters. I'm Joni Kopis, and it's a very exciting day today as I introduce our new superintendent of the schools, Mr. Tony Orr, and our school board president, Mr. Scott Kruger. So welcome to you both.
Hi.
First time you've been on, I think, is that right,
It
Scott?
has. It has.
Perfect. Well, Tony, officially welcome you to Hamilton and
Well,
to
thank
Hamilton
you.
City School District.
It's great to be here.
Excited to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up in rural Springfield, an Appalachian family. We had to raise a garden to get by. I'm proud of my public education. It took me all the way to Wright State University, where I earned my bachelor's degree. Served as the president of the Honor Society at Wright State University. Ended up teaching in Huber Heights City Schools, taught 8th grade English. Ended up teaching high school English, taught for about 6 years before I became a middle school principal. Before becoming middle school principal, though, I earned my master's degree with the University of Dayton and just kept taking classes.
Lifelong learner, which is what we talk about.
Absolutely. My kids actually, I've got 2 children, both in college, and they asked me at one point in time, Dad, why are you still going to school? And I said, because I'm not smart enough yet.
Right.
So I continue to expand whatever I can learn and try to use that for Hamilton City Schools now.
And then how long were you superintendent at Northwestern?
I became superintendent at Northwestern clear back in 2008, and I served with them for 7 years. Prior to that, I was with Huber Heights City Schools as their assistant superintendent. I was also their middle school principal for 6 years. So time certainly has gone by quickly.
Well, a variety of different positions, which I think help as you become a superintendent.
Absolutely. You know, I jokingly tell everyone that I'm the lead custodian.
But you did that to a couple people around here, I know, got them all worried.
Absolutely. But it's true, because as a custodian, we take care of things. And quite honestly, over the course of my career, I actually worked with the custodians. I helped in food service. I tried to understand every aspect of the operation, but most importantly, I tried to understand how to help our kids.
Right. Well, you mentioned that about the students. You were recognized by middle school students not once, but 2 times for your outstanding leadership, and that just shows great rapport, I think, with students.
Well, I was blessed to have great students at Studebaker Middle School when I taught 8th grade English. And, you know, we tried to have a safe haven when they entered my classroom, and together we did great things, and it was very flattering that they honored me like that.
I think so. Also, you received an achievement award for your work with students with disabilities.
Absolutely. Quite honestly, this was when I was a middle school principal at Weisenborn Middle School. And I don't like to say that it was my award. I like to say it was a team award, because it really reflected the collaborative work we did as a building. Certainly, we couldn't have accomplished all that we did in isolation, and that teamwork led to that award that I graciously accepted on behalf of the staff.
Well, that was great. And I know officially you've been here on the job three weeks, but I know you've been here longer than that.
Correct.
Getting acclimated to the community. I know you bought a home here. What are your first impressions of the community and the school district?
Well, quite honestly, we moved here approximately 6 weeks ago. We were living behind the high school, and this is the biggest small town I've ever been in. Everybody's been warm and welcoming. And they're truly excited about all that's going on in Hamilton, as am I. As far as my perceptions of the school district, again, the teachers have been excited, they're enthusiastic. Even on the very first day of school, teachers were teaching. They were even using the restorative practices that we're using to build relationship. And to see the students back in the classroom, they might tell you that they want to hold on to summer, but the kids really are glad to be back.
Well, and Scott, we talked about, the first day of school was, pretty hot again. Again, fortunate to have these brand new buildings that have air conditioning, because not so long ago, we'd be getting calls, are you letting out early? It's too hot in there. So we're very fortunate.
Absolutely. I can recall when my mother was a teacher at the high school, and she would have to bring in fans because there wasn't any air conditioning.
Right. Yeah.
So we've come a long way.
Yes. And again, thank you to the community for allowing us to, with the bond issues, to build these beautiful buildings.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, Tony, explain a little bit about your leadership style.
As a leader, what I try to do is seek input from everyone. At the end of the day, we certainly have to look at all the research and the opinions and make a decision. But the way I make decisions is, I imagine that all the kids at Hamilton City Schools are mine. I treat them as they're my own children. So I try to always figure out, well, what's the best for our kids? Research is one thing, but also I think you have to also have common sense, which I think is sometimes lacking.
Common sense is not so common, we say.
That is correct. So, you know, I try to make the decisions that reflected my upbringing.
Right.
And certainly I was raised conservatively, but we were raised in a caring family where we all valued one another.
Right.
And I think those are the values that we have to get back to.
Scott, explain a little bit about the process of hiring Mr. Orr, because I know, again, we haven't done this for 23 years with Mrs. Baker being superintendent for 23 years. So explain the process on how we were able to, fortunate enough to get Mr. Orr.
Certainly. This was a novel concept. As you stated, it's been 23 years. And so 3 of the board members have never had to partake in the hiring of a superintendent. And Dr. Stitzinger and Larry Bowling haven't had to do it since, I believe, 1992. So the first thing is we got together as a group. I believe Janet announced sometime in November, at least that's when the news broke, and then it became official in December. We started in January, and we recognized first and foremost that we needed help. So we selected OSBA and one of their
Ohio
representatives.
School Boards Association out of
Absolutely.
Columbus.
And Cheryl Ryan was the representative, and she met with us, and the first thing that she did was she wanted to know what we were looking for, because she wanted to help us find the right fit. And I felt that this was very telling of the board and our continuity. She gave us 5 sheets of paper individually, and all 5 of them had a list of qualities and characteristics that we were looking for. And we had a very short amount of time to do it, and we had to do it individually. So in other words, we couldn't share what our thoughts were initially. Of those 5 pages of characteristics, we had to select 10. 7 of the 10 were common. So all 5 of us had 7 of the 10, and that's when I knew right away this is already coming together very well, and we're on the same board.
Right.
So we started with that. From there, she helped us develop a pamphlet, which I still have with me.
Not that we need it anytime soon.
Right. It outlined the many wonderful opportunities that the City of Hamilton has to bring to the table. And it highlighted our schools as well. From there, we started to select potential candidates.
So did she mail this out to everyone, or if you were interested, she sent you that flyer?
I think these were sent out in the mail. They were
Okay.
available at our various buildings. She gave them to us to pass out.
So it was a wide net.
We wanted to cast a very wide net, which I need to backtrack. The other reason OSBA was attractive to us is not just their contacts within the schools in Ohio, but also out of state. So we were even looking, and we did in fact interview people from out of state as well.
Right.
At any rate, from that process, we pre-screened applicants, and I believe we had around 23 or 4 potential candidates.
Which she felt was a pretty good number.
She did. That was actually our target number.
Right.
And OSBA then had a list of people who interviewed those potential candidates. She came back to us and helped us kind of narrow the field. We wanted to get 9, 10 quality candidates from that list. We settled on 9, and we began our interview process. We had 2 rounds, so the first round we interviewed all 9. From there, we narrowed it down to, I believe, 3. During that process, the board members met with various members of the community, whether it be teachers, neighbors, business leaders, and we really wanted to involve the community. So we wanted to get a sense of what they were looking for in the next superintendent. And I think we used those suggestions when we interviewed our candidates, because we didn't want it to just be our superintendent. We wanted it to be Hamilton's superintendent.
Right.
And then from there, we had a second round. We interviewed 3 people, and after the interviews were over, we deliberated, and it was a unanimous decision. Tony Orr was our man. And quite frankly, even though we couldn't discuss it, and we didn't, I think I got the sense that we all were very comfortable with Tony from the very beginning. He was very prepared. coming from out of the area, really.
Right.
He knew a lot about Hamilton. He actually had visited Hamilton before to see one of our community events, and this was before he was even a candidate for the position. So he had some interest in the city, I believe, even before interviewing with us. In addition to that, he was a very good spokesperson. We knew that he would represent the city and the district very well. He had experience, which was very important to us. And also, he was an instructional leader, which is a very important term for those of us who are in the education business. We wanted a leader who was familiar with all the changes that the state is making regarding testing requirements and graduation requirements. We wanted someone who was familiar with the trends in education. But we also wanted someone who had teaching experience and knew and knows of the challenges that our teachers are facing on a day-to-day basis, and also the challenges that our students are faced with on a day-to-day basis.
Well, it was a big responsibility, and I think it's safe to say you guys did a great job. Because I know everybody was impressed. You mentioned about the interviews with some community members and staff members, and you're right. Tony he knew his homework. He was talking about different stats and facts about the community, asking about different people. He was stalking the website. So you very much did your homework, and I think people appreciated that.
Oh, absolutely.
So that means well.
And he relates well to the members of our community.
Very much so. Now, Tony, they talked about the 3 R's with reading, writing, arithmetic, but you have another set of 3 R's: rigor, relevance, and relationships. So talk about that.
Absolutely. Well, there's an educational guru. His name is Dr. Bill Daggett, or William Daggett, and he's one that has coined that terminology: rigor, relevance, and relationship. And rigor really means that we need to challenge our kids in the classroom. We need for them to meet the demands of the 21st century, we need to make sure they're well prepared. That means that we have to have challenging coursework, assignments that are going to push them further than they normally go.
Right.
But we also know that what we do in the classroom has got to be relevant. It has to be meaningful to them. If we're doing things that are in isolation again, it won't have the meaning and the kids won't be connected to what we're asking them to do. They need to know that it's important. And then finally, relationship. That's at the key of everything we do as humans. We've got to be able to connect with people. We've got to be able to work together. We've got to be able to talk to our neighbors. And I think when you have that combination of those three, you're going to have an exceptional education like we have at Hamilton. And quite honestly, our teachers are supporting that, especially the R relationship, through our use of something called restorative practice.
Yeah, explain that a little bit.
Restorative practice is the basis for it. At the end of the day, is it's a relationship exercise that allows the teachers to interact with the students, so that the students are comfortable with the teacher knows who the students are, and they have a sense of community in that classroom. You know, when we were all in school, sometimes we didn't want to raise our hands. You know, you're afraid of being laughed at, you're afraid of being wrong. But when you have a community that you develop in that classroom, just like the three of us talking right now, where we feel comfortable talking,
Right.
we're going to get to know what the kids know, what they don't know, how we can help them. And again, I think those are the keys to learning. In fact, research says that if students like the teachers that they're with, 96% of them said they would perform at a higher level, and that does stand true. They're going to work better because they like someone instead of just fear of getting a bad grade.
Right. Well, and since you're, again, new to the district, I want to talk about, you're sitting pretty good. Scott, financially, our district is sitting pretty good financially, so that's a nice relief for Tony. No operating levies, I think, in the next few years.
That's correct. We've received good news from our treasurer, Bob Hancock. We've received an increase in funding from the state. But it's not just that. It's we've got a very good treasurer, and we have, with Janet Baker, she was a very good financial steward of the community's money. And another attractive quality of Mr. Orr was that where he's been, he was also a very good financial steward of our money. And so I think we're in good shape, not just because of what the state has provided for us, but the way we've managed it.
Right. I
Correct.
think, each year you look to see where we can cut, where some districts don't have the mindset, and then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, we had to cut $10 million or whatever. So instead of chipping a little bit at a time, it's a really big cut for some school districts. And we talk about this all the time with our fine arts. We're very fortunate that we offer that, K through 12, where some school districts, they do cut the fine arts or some sports programs, busing or transportation.
Right, and quite honestly, the kids have to have a well-rounded education. I've always believed in servant leadership, and to be a good servant leader, you also have to be a good steward of the money. We have to protect the money. We don't want to spend it just to spend it.
Right.
However, if there's a need that we have to fill, then we do need to realize that and help our kids succeed.
Another success we had was our K-3 literacy scores, one of the top marks in the county.
Oh, absolutely. The K through 3 literacy score, we received the highest mark in the county, tying with Fairfield and Ross. Our average was, we had a score that was 20% above the state average.
Right.
You want to talk about our teachers doing a phenomenal job.
Right.
But we also have to remember, it's not just the teachers. That's integral. You've also got the students, but you have all the other supporting cast members.
Right.
It's almost like a play.
Right.
You've got the bus drivers who safely transport our students to school, those who serve the students the lunch and the breakfasts that we serve here at Hamilton, all the way down to the aides and also the administrators. So it takes the whole cast to pull off the show, and it stands to as a testament to what we do here.
Well, and you mentioned the restorative practices, because we piloted that last year in 3 schools. This year it's going district-wide. But not only did the teachers go through it, but we had bus drivers, we had the secretaries, the clerks, custodians. So everyone's talking the same message throughout the course of the building.
Correct. We have to have a common language. The students need to have it reaffirmed in every walk of life here at Hamilton City Schools. So by doing that, the students have a clear expectation of what our community is, what it is not, how we behave. And let's face it, growing up is hard. I'm still working on it.
Right.
But as far as the challenges that the students are facing, this practice is going to help us get them through it.
Right.
But it's also, again, going to provide that safe environment where they can do so.
And you mentioned safe, well-rounded education with our fine arts and athletics.
Correct.
But we have a lot of electives
Yeah,
courses
absolutely.
as well, forensic science, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Forensic science, zoology, anatomy, physiology. We also do ACT prep, because let's face it, here in Hamilton, we're trying to be college or career ready.
Right.
So the ACT prep is hugely important as we try to help our students move on to college. Our Naval Junior ROTC program is outstanding. In fact, not only were they the region champions, they went on to a national competition.
Right.
But as far as our fine arts program, we just celebrated 100 years of strings. And to see the kids from a group we call Livewire, and if
they're
our community
impressive.
hasn't seen Livewire, they
Very
need
impressive.
to. Oh,
Very impressive.
Yeah.
well, the kids play with joy. The students play with joy. And also to hear some old rock and roll songs played
On a violin?
played on a violin, or as I would call it, a fiddle.
Right.
It's exciting. But we also need to honor our marching band. They received an excellent rating in competition, and you just don't have that happen
Right.
in other districts.
Right.
But these are the things that we should be celebrating here in
Right.
Hamilton, and it certainly reflects not only the school, but also the parents.
And one of the buzzwords you hear in education is STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And we are starting the Project Gateway and Project Lead the Way for both middle school and high school.
Correct.
For engineering.
Well, we believe in a hands-on approach. And this gets back to, again, when we talk about rigor, relevance, and relationship, the relevance with science, technology, engineering, and math, it is completely relevant because the students are going to be using this later on in their lives.
Right.
So to have it at the middle school, Project Gateway, and then have that transition into the high school program, project lead the way, it just puts our students in an advantage.
Right.
Well, and I think it's filtered into the elementary schools even. We had a demonstration by some of the elementary students this summer. They competed in a Lego competition.
Right.
Correct.
In which they engineered various robots with Legos, and they were tasked with making that robot do certain chores.
Right.
And it involved mathematics and science,
Right.
teamwork, and so we're seeing it even at the elementary level.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
farther down, right. You talked about relationships, which also goes with partnerships, and I think our district's very fortunate that we have a lot of partnerships with the city, the chamber. I mean, we have a whole list of partnerships and community organizations that we work with.
Yeah, as you've mentioned, obviously we have the Chamber of Commerce. I serve on the Hamilton Economic Development Committee. Just today I met with Vision 2020.
Right.
These groups are moving and shaking, if you will, to help us realize the economic upswing that we are. And my hat goes off to the city. City Manager Joshua Smith, you know, and quite honestly, those that are helping come up with a strategic plan, we're doing some phenomenal things. I mean, to attract companies, outstanding companies like StarTech, Barclays,
Right.
It just shows that Hamilton is really the place to be. And quite honestly, Friday, the Fitness Center is having a season launch for our cultural
Right.
center here in Hamilton. And I'm going to be excited to be there with my fiance. I think it's from 5 to 9.
Right.
But again, these are the things that are happening in Hamilton that we should all celebrate together.
Right, and partnerships with like Butler County United Way, the YWCA, the
Kettering Health
YMCA,
Network.
Kettering Health. I mean, it goes on and on. The Community Foundation. So I think as a school district, we are very fortunate in that there are so many people and organizations that we are partnering with to help our students.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about some of your goals or for the school year. I know obviously one is to increase the academic rigor for our students.
We have to increase the rigor. Again, it goes back to the 3 R's that I always tout. So we have to make sure that we are being writing intensive in the classroom. I believe that's going to take us to a higher level of learning. If kids are forced to have to write something down, more than just giving a fill-in-the-blank answer, it's going to help them with their thinking process.
That's a language arts teacher for you.
There you
Scott.
go.
Yes.
The old English teacher in me.
That's okay, good.
And then the second part of that would go with achievement. Now this is where it gets a little fuzzy. The state of Ohio is constantly moving the target.
Right.
And that's not to be a whiny answer, but it's an honest
It's a
one.
frustration.
It is a frustration. Just recently, with a stroke of the pen, they eliminated the park assessment, which is fine.
Which is what we spent the last year or two preparing for, and now it's over.
Correct. So now it's gone. We have no idea what the report card's going to say or not say. But what I would like to share with Hamilton is we are so much more than that report card. A report card that is always a mystery to all of us on how it's calculated. But with all the accomplishments that we have, again, we are more than that. And you see that from the smiles on the kids' faces.
Oh, yeah.
And the work that they're doing. The other goal that we have this year, as you're probably aware, we have extended the length of the day, and we need to make sure that we're using that efficiently. And by using it efficiently, we're going to be allowing the teachers to plan more to meet the needs of the students. It's kind of like what I would say about Ohio State football. They don't just go to the Saturday game without preparing for it throughout the week.
Right.
And our teachers need that time to really meet the demands that the students are coming to us with, so that we can help them realize success. So that would be a third goal, certainly.
And I know, Scott, the board was very pleased to get that in the contract, to have an extended day, not only for the teachers, as Tony said, for planning, but also additional instructional time at the elementary level for our students.
Absolutely. Since I've been on the board, that has been one of the main topics of discussion. What we found was throughout the past, I don't know, decade or so, the focus has been more towards the high school and those students getting into college, being prepared for careers and life. And we decided recently that we needed to make sure that we put an emphasis on the elementary education because that's the foundation, as Tony mentioned earlier. We need to prepare those students so that they're ready for the rigors of the junior high and the high school and then hopefully college and career. 20 minutes additional education time each day. And if you extrapolate that over the course of their career, we hope that it's going to add up to not just better grades, but a more well-rounded education, and hopefully, again, sticking with our goal, our mission, and that's preparing them for college, career, and life.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, I want to officially welcome you to Hamilton. I know you've been moving all summers, trying to sell a house, buy a house, do some renovations and what have you, all while trying to learn the district. And
Correct.
I know you've been out and about. I've heard some very positive things. Even took a teacher on your motorcycle once after your meeting. So so far everything seems to be going well. And again, it's the first weekend, and looks like our enrollment numbers are again going to be pretty steady, if not another increase. So
Correct.
I'd say we're off pretty good start.
Yep, outstanding.
So welcome officially, and thank
you.
you for joining us, Scott.
Thank you.
And together, we are Hamilton proud.
And thank you for joining us on School Matters, because school matters. We'll see you next time.